Tom Landry has been quoted as saying, really, coaching is simplicity. It's getting players to do better than they think they can. If you think back to a time when you were being coached, either a teacher or whether you played sports, think of the most memorable coach that you had, how they treated you and how they enabled you and how they helped you to grow. And that's the key and the most important part of being a coach. And anyone really can be a coach. If you're a parent, you're a coach. If you're working in an office, and even if you don't supervise anyone, you can be a coach. If you have experience with something that somebody else doesn't have, you can coach them on that. And especially if you're a supervisor, then you are definitely a coach. Now, one of the things besides being, let's say, a manager at a company that you have to be concerned about, of course, making sure everybody does what they need to do on time, but where people have some difficulty is, what do you do with someone that is underperforming? That's something that managers aren't necessarily being trained at. A couple of good things to start with, especially when you see an underperforming employee, is try to do your research beforehand, before talking to the employee. Find out why they're underperforming as much as possible. Could it be that they don't have the training that they need to perform the duties that they need to do? Could it be that they have inadequate equipment? Let's say, for example, you're working on a computer all day, but their mouse isn't working for some reason, but they haven't gotten the courage to speak up about it, and they're having trouble manipulating. They're slower to do things because of malfunctioning equipment. Could it be that they don't have the time because they don't have the knowledge to do that job? Or they're giving a shorter period of time, but they don't speak up because, again, they might have the courage to speak up at that moment. And also motivation, and that's a key factor as well. Could it be that there's lack of motivation? Maybe when they were interviewed for the position, could it be that they were interviewed for a position, let's say I'm in the software development field, they were interviewed for a software developer role, but now they're being put into somebody that does software testing, which is two different types of roles. They're not really as motivated to do that testing as they would be in development. So those are 4 key factors to look at, as to find out reasons why. So poor training, inadequate equipment, time, and motivation. Now, when you do your research and find out why, or try to find out the underlying reason, you want to bring in for a session, a coaching session. There's 9 things that I'll go over quickly as far as what you should do in your coaching session. Make sure you describe the specific reason why you're bringing them into the discussion. As soon as, maybe not in the email, maybe not when you're bringing them in, but as soon as you bring them into your office or that environment, a private environment is a key thing as well, tell them the reason why this discussion is taking place. Number 2, express your concern about the area of performance you would like to be improved. And it's being explicit. Not beating around the bush saying, oh, I've heard that you're doing this sort of thing. No, I'm concerned about the fact that you're not accomplishing your work on time, and it's affecting overall performance. That could be one thing. Number 3, describe the impact the performance problem has on you and others. So if someone is not performing their duties on time, let's say you're working in a factory where that person needs to accomplish something in order for the next person to accomplish what they need to do, then that person is backing up the rest of the process. Number 4, acknowledge and listen to the person. That's critical as well, being able to listen, because you want to understand could it be something that is being affected personally? Could it be there's someone that's bullying them, or there's something else? You want to listen for any key indicators there and try to dig deeper. Number 5, seek the person's opinion on ways to improve performance. I know I've done this with my kids in particular, is what can we do to try to improve this? I don't want to immediately give a solution, because if you immediately give a solution, okay, yeah, but they're not committed to that solution. Whereas if you offer them the opportunity to come up with a solution themselves, they'll be more committed to that. Number 6, discuss solutions. You have various options and try to come up with the best solution to move forward. Number 7, agree on a solution and actions to be taken. So you came up with a solution, you decided on this one is the right approach, and then start setting metrics. We're gonna get this done by this date, and look forward and make sure that they're committed to it. A key thing also is follow up, follow up, follow up. Once they're committed, you say, okay, we're doing this by the end of the month. You want to make sure maybe a week before, okay, you're on progress, you don't have any questions, you're getting things done, great, you're following up. And lastly, but not least, make sure you praise the positive. You want to ensure that if they're moving forward and they're progressing, you praise them for the fact that, yes, you're doing great, keep on going, and they're positively encouraged. And finally, you want to make sure any feedback is related to behavior. Same thing we do here in Toastmasters. You're evaluating the speech, not the speaker. Same thing when you were coaching. You want to evaluate their behaviors, not the person themselves. That's critical as well. And finally, I want to leave you with this parting quote. Constant, gentle pressure is my preferred technique for leadership, guidance, and coaching. And that was said by Danny Meyer. With that, I would like to present the scenario for the next part of the speaking presentation. Dean will help me in this role. We are playing a role where I am a construction supervisor, and Dean is an underperforming employee, and I'm bringing him into the coaching session. And this will be a one-on-one conversation, and you're just listening in. So if we don't look at you, don't think that we're just ignoring you, but actually we are ignoring you. Hi Dean, how are you? Great to see you.
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Please have a seat. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. How about you?
Great, great, thanks. The reason why I brought you in today is because I know that you're great work, you've been doing great all this time, but I've seen recently that there's been a little bit of trouble, let's say. I've noticed a little bit of slowness, or maybe not up to your regular standard very recently. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what might be going on. I don't know if you care to share something that might be going on.
Well, I know lately I've been having this little bit of tiredness as far as my back is starting to bother me a lot, so that causes me to kind of move a bit slow. And of course, my job being in construction is very
Right.
strenuous and everything, so I know that's been something I've been sensitive about, making sure I don't hurt anything to where I can't work at all.
Right, I understand that completely, and it's a difficult situation, like you said, we're in the construction business, and it's a very physically demanding job. And the thing about it, of course, is that you're in a critical position. We really need you to perform your task, when you need to accomplish it. And I know this is a concern. We don't want to lose production, but also we don't want to get injured in the long run. Have you had a chance to visit a doctor? Is this something that we can work with, you think?
Well, no, I haven't seen the doctor yet, but as soon as we get insurance, I can probably go to one.
Oh, okay, well then, thank you very much. I didn't know that was an issue. Thank you for bringing that up. That's something that we can talk to the HR manager about and see if we can get that resolved, because if you don't have insurance, that's a major problem. I know insurance can be costly, and I know the company provides some insurance incentives or as benefits as well, so I hope that we can discuss with the HR manager, see if we can bring in some insurance. Is there something else, you know, besides that, once you get insurance, is there something else that you can, that we think we can get done so we can move forward?
Not that I can think of, I guess as far as in the interim, I can maybe go to Walgreens and get some type of a back brace just to have that extra support.
Okay, yeah,
You know,
that, I think,
I definitely don't wanna be, I don't want the production to go down, obviously, because that hurts the company as a whole.
right, right, and like I said, you've been doing great up to now, but it's good that I'm glad you came in and were able to tell me this. In the future, feel free to bring it up sooner so that we don't have to, you know, we don't have to get to this point where I have to bring you in to address the situation.
I guess it also would help if I remember my tool belt too.
Yeah. Hey, that's right, that helps as well. Is there, so what do you, so you go out and get this belt, we'll talk to the HR manager, see if we can get the insurance issue resolved. By when do you think, assuming we can get insurance pretty quickly, by when do you think we can start seeing a change?
As soon as I get to the doctor and get things specified exactly what's going on, we can see change immediately, but tonight I'll go by Walgreens and at least get a back brace so that it can help.
Okay, great. And I'll talk to the rest of your construction co-workers to let them know also, because they weren't, I don't think they were aware necessarily of what was going on, and that was brought up to my attention. So
Okay.
now whether we're all aware, I think we're moving forward to a solution. And I hope your back feels better and we can move forward and we'll get your insurance without a problem, I hope.
Okay, yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Dean.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dean. And now for our 2 to 3 minute discussion as to how do you think I did as a coach, and feedback from Dean himself or from the audience as far as based on what the session, the tips that I gave at the beginning. What do you think could be done better? Is there something that I did well? Any feedback? Yes, sir.
I guess if I had to get coached a little bit, I'd enjoy demeanor like yours, kind of soothing and pragmatic and not threatening, and treated him very humanely. You weren't trying to talk down to him in some way. The only thing I'd like to see, in real life, things can be a little stranger. I'd like to see, give Dean the chance to throw you a real loop. Like, I said to a boss once, he says, "Where's the key?" And I said, "If it's up your butt, you'd know it." I mean, have something bizarre come at you that you gotta like, whoa, how do I handle this?
Yes,
Or
that's true.
you're not paying me enough. What the hell? I'll tell you what, keep the evaluation and the nickel. It's not worth listening to you. You know what I'm saying? You know,
Yeah, that would be an interesting scenario,
What are you
that's for
talking
sure.
about?
Yes, thank you very much. Any other comments? Yes.
I appreciated that instead of focusing on, oh, the employee's incompetent, you focused on, oh, what are some stumbling blocks in the way of the employer or the employee doing a good job, instead of it just being the employee's a bad employee.
Well, thank you very much. Any other questions or comments, suggestions? Dean, what was your experience, not having prepared at all, and that's part of the...
No, I as a employee, to piggyback on what Scott was saying, I forgot what your name was. What's your name?